freedom of the media is not absolute, as Santihine reminds journalists as media capacity enhancement program underway in Kumasi.
Crowd at SIM card registration centers, a recipe for spread of COVID-19.
A call on ECOWAS to prioritize quality of elections over speed as Mali works to return to democratic civilian rule.
And also in this package, Mali recalls its ambassadors and closes its borders with its ECOWAS neighbors in reaction to embargo by ECOWAS. Good evening and thanks for joining us for News Hour. We are live on GBC News. My name is Clara Mlano.
Good evening. I am Shirley and Jonathan Intim Darko translates the news into sign language. The Asantehene Otumfuo Setutu has reminded the media and media practitioners in the country that the freedom guaranteed them by the 1992 Constitution is not absolute.
He cautioned that despite the repeal of the criminal libel law, giving them some space to perform their watchdog role, they could be subject of libel litigation at the law courts if they conduct themselves unprofessionally. Otumfuo Setutu made the observation at the launch of the Media Capacity Enhancement Program in Kumasi.
The Media Capacity Enhancement Program is a culmination of about 2 years of engagement among key stakeholders in the media. Out of this initiative, an independent working group under the chairmanship of the rector of the Ghana Institute of Journalism, Professor Kwame Kwansa Edu, conducted a skills gap analysis of practicing journalists and developed a curriculum for training media practitioners. The group then selected their own faculty from among leading academics and industry players to implement the curriculum. About 250 media practitioners are expected to be trained this year alone under the program. More than 60 selected media men and women from across the media industry in Ghana constitute the first batch that is scheduled to go through 4 days of intensive training in specialized courses. At the opening ceremony at the Menshia Palace in Kumasi, the president of the Ghana Journalists Association, Mr. Roland Afelmoni, hailed the initiative, saying it has come at a time public confidence in the media is waning.
It is right knowledge that the enhancement program is taking place at a time when the confidence in the media is on the wane and perpetration of mediocrity is on the rise. In terms of professional standards, many journalists are starved to the gills, others are rotten to the core. While some display innovative spark and distinctive qualities, many operate in stagnant pools which reflect hackneyed styles and immanent output. The finest opportunity, therefore, beckons to move the paradigm and change the narrative of journalism in Ghana.
The U.S. ambassador to Ghana, Stephanie Sullivan, described freedom of speech and of the media as fundamental to democracy. The U.S., she said, will therefore continue to support the media and media capacity enhancement initiatives. The chairman of the National Media Commission, Mr. Yabuedu Ayabuafo, disclosed that the commission is receiving increasing number of complaints from concerned members of the Ghanaian society about unethical conduct by some media practitioners and media outlets.
The National Media Commission may be coming to you to seek your judgment, your discernment, and in dealing with the matter of the media tradition and culture, so that we can have a relationship that will be more enduring. Because culture makes us, and if we forget about our culture, we will be lost. And if in the attempt at introducing modern trends, we frown upon our culture or we downgrade our cultural practices, that it means that we are losing our identity as Ghanaians.
The Minister for Information, Mr. Kojo Ponkruma, noted that despite the critical role of the media in national development, the practitioners require regular upgrade of their competencies to stay professional.
This falsehood is further aggravated by the reality that a significant proportion of practicing journalists are not recruited because they have graduated from prior journalism training institutions that have been established for training journalists. Indeed, Otumfuo, many practitioners, including your grandson here, when I was initially recruited as a journalist in 2007, have had no prior professional training. It takes regular training and capacity enhancement to keep practitioners on the path of high professionalism and to keep the industry generally highly professional.
The Asantehene Otumfuo Setutu also advised the media to behave professionally. He was concerned about the low attention the nation is giving to the needs of the media compared with the three arms of government.
The core business of the media is to provide the citizens with information which enables them come to informed decisions. Every professional journalist knows that his greatest asset, indeed the greatest asset of the profession, is credibility. And credibility comes from the accuracy of information and the fairness with which it is presented.
Mali has announced a recall of its ambassadors to West African countries and the closure of its borders with its ECOWAS neighbors in reaction to an embargo by West African leaders at a meeting in Accra on Sunday. ECOWAS, which maintains trade in basic goods with Mali, has also decided to cut off financial aid and freeze Mali's assets at the Central Bank of West African states. In a televised statement, the government of Mali has strongly condemned these illegal and illegitimate sanctions. Government spokesman in uniform, Colonel Abdoulaye Maiga, said government of Mali regrets that West African sub-regional organizations are being manipulated by extra-regional powers with ulterior motives. The junta has also announced disclosing its land and air borders with ECOWAS countries. The Economic Community of West African States and the West African Economic and Monetary Union took a battery of strong economic and diplomatic measures against Mali on Sunday to sanction the junta's intention to remain in power for several more years. The measures include a broken promise by the colonels to hold presidential and legislative elections on February 27 that would have put civilians in charge of the country. Today, the junta says it will not be able to organize presidential and legislative elections as planned at the end of February, citing the persistent insecurity in the region, which is plagued by all kinds of violence. It stresses the need for prior reforms so that the elections do not suffer from disputes as in previous ones.
A security analyst and a human rights activist, Dr. Vincent Ajahili Mensah, who is also a senior lecturer at the University of Education, Winneba, says the call is on ECOWAS to soften its stance on Mali and prioritize the quality of elections over speed. He said, though he is not in support of military rule, the fundamental issues that led to the coup in Mali must be critically looked on. First, to avoid possibility of protests against same when the country is returned to democratic civilian rule.
It is good for ECOWAS to speak tough and to try to take important actions against Mali to ensure that there is a return to democratic rule. But it's unfortunate and regrettable because of the particular situation that we have in Mali. We know that part of the reasons for the coup was an attempt by the president, the then president, to interfere with parliamentary election results in April 2020 and the protests that resulted from that. So if you look at the conditions in Mali and the response from the regional countries is to say we are imposing sanctions on you, you say that this is regrettable. But the gentleman made an important point that they prefer quality over speed, which is an important point to consider because as Julius Malema said, democracy is not only about elections. Even the quality of the elections matter. If you look at the dynamics in Mali at the moment now, you see that about more than 7 million of the population live in areas affected by conflict. About 5 million are facing challenges with food insecurity, and those in need of humanitarian assistance are about 6 million. That takes you to about 18 million of the population in unstable conditions, leaving just about 3 million of the population in stable conditions. So even if you want to have elections under those conditions, I think that there is a point that the junta has that the ECOWAS leaders need to consider.
You're still watching News Hour live on GBC News, your news and governance channel. As the March 31, 2022 deadline for the SIM re-registration draws closer, most subscribers continue to besiege the various registration centers of telcos to complete their registration processes. This has generated long queues, a situation that has attracted concerns as possible areas for the spread of COVID-19. On GTV Breakfast Show, the Chief Executive of the Ghana Telecommunications Chamber, Dr. Ken Ashigbe, said although the National Communications Authority is initiating institutional registration to ease congestions at the centers, the app being used will be upgraded to allow subscribers to register from their homes.
People come to these centers and they don't do the star 404 hash before they come. So you have to go through that process again. And all of these are adding on to the congestion that we are seeing at the places. But we believe that with all of these measures and more that we are going to put in place, we should be able to resolve some of the challenges that we're seeing. On Thursday, a new update went live. And we hope that that would be able to deal with some of the challenges we have with syncing offline and all of that. And so today is the first working day since that update went live. So we're asking all our agents to download the latest update. And hopefully that would all be able to resolve the challenge for us. Some of these things, it will take a bit of time to do. The technology one, we're hoping that with the update that has been done, it will be able to take, improve the speed at which the SIM registrations are done. But in terms of the number of centers that have been done, we need to increase and ramp up the communication, education, and let people know that there are other places apart from, the telcos, offices that they can go to, that anywhere that they go to some of these retail shops and distributor shops where they see SIM card registration down here, it means they will be able to go there. On a constant basis, we'll have meetings with this technical committee taking feedback. So I'm sure with all the data that is being taken and the fact that the ministry themselves are pushing to ensure that a lot more people have access to telecommunication, not to rather deny anybody, so that if the Ghana card is not available by March, and then if there are difficulties, I am pretty sure that that decision will be taken.
On Monday morning, applicants queuing for the ECOWAS card or Ghana card at the NIA Wejagbawe Municipal Office complained bitterly over what they called a cumbersome process. The applicants, some of whom had gone to form queues since 10 p.m. on Sunday, accused the officials of favoritism. These applicants include those now applying for the Ghana card, those coming for their cards, and those whose cards cannot be electronically captured by the telcos for the SIM card re-registration. However, officials at the office who spoke off camera on grounds of anonymity accused the applicants in the queue of listing their names and those of their family and friends who are not present to undertake the exercise. This, they say, delays the process. They also said registration at the office is between 8 a.m. and 12 noon, while issuance of cards is between 1 p.m. and 5 p.m. each day.
I am seriously suspecting a foul play, because if I have 31, like I'm saying, and the 50 number is on, they have the 50 number already. They have the number they are looking for, and I still have my number. What happened? Who replaced me?
From 2019 up to date, I didn't use even at all. I went to Shashi 2 times. They said they will send the card to them, the place where I make the card. But since then, they didn't do it for me. Then now I came here. They say 1 o'clock. This is my problem. I've been working. I pay a lot of money for transportation.
I have 6 children in my house. So if I leave all of the 6 children and come and spend the night here, who will take care of those in the house for me? So if the machine is disturbing them, they should bring backup for them so that it will help us.
We came here since 3 a.m. By 8 a.m., they said the 15 number they want for the day was exhausted, so we should go home.
We are solely at 12 o'clock.
I came here since 12 a.m. and was 10 on the list, but they sneak people in as protocol.
The process is not helpful. They are sacking us instead of helping.
10 o'clock p.m.
I came to sleep here with my child. I am number 31, but they are saying they can't do it for me. Why? We vote for people into office to help us, but they ignore us afterwards.
The University Teachers Association of Ghana has called on its members in all its 15 branches across the country to withdraw teaching and related activities from today, January 10, 2022, until further notice. This, according to them, is as a result of failure by the government to address their worsening conditions of service. The president of the University of Ghana chapter of UTAG, Dr. Samuel Incuban, says if the demands of UTAG are not met, it will not call off the strike because government has over the years failed to live up to its part of the negotiation, and efforts by the executive to engage the appropriate stakeholders have not yielded any results.
We've been at this since 2019 and we've not had any meaningful engagement in relation to getting an improved conditions of service. Our agreement with the government was that if by close of December it was not possible to engage us on the basis of the current labor market survey, which they have completed, then we should be restored to the 2013 entry market premium levels, so as to as an interim that they needed to do in order to implement a market premium that is meaningfully constituted and would improve our conditions above the 2030.
Earlier, my colleague Rachel Korte visited some campuses in Accra to gauge the effects of the strike by the University Teachers Association of Ghana.
At the University of Ghana campus at Legon, fresh students have started registration, while continuing students are expected to resume in a few days. A level 400 students we met at the school administration, Master Robert Kwame Goku, said the university authorities had officially communicated the UTAG strike to them.
So we'll be reopening on the 13th to 15th. We've heard that there's going to be a strike, but as it stands now, everything is still normal. The freshers are still reporting and registration is still ongoing as usual. So we are waiting to see whether when academic lectures start commence, there will be changes or anything. But for the time being, we've not really experienced anything from the university community, the staff and all.
Efforts to speak with the Public Affairs Department of the university was unsuccessful. The news team was told the director was in a meeting. The team then continued to the North Jowulu campus of the Ghana Institute of Journalism, GIJ. School officially reopened on Monday, 10th January, coinciding with the beginning of the UTAG strike. We met both fresh and continuing students on campus going through registration. According to the head of the Public Affairs Unit of GIJ, Mr. Daniel Machato, Students were disappointed when they were informed about the UTAG strike.
I can confirm that UTAG GIJ, in consonance with UTAG National, today began their strike. They have withdrawn their services, and officially it's today that students are to report to school, both freshers and continuing students. And I should say they are very disappointed. They are still rounding up their registration processes. The Public Affairs Unit found a way of informing students that effective today, UTAG is going to start their strike. So the students are aware of the strike. We are also aware that necessary government agencies are in consultation with UTAG national executives, hoping that as soon as it's practicable, the strike will be called off.
Mr. Machato was hopeful students would resume their normal studies soon. Rachel Kwote, GBC News, Accra.
The Drivers Association of Ghana has proposed a 40% increment in transport fares from Monday, January 17, 2022. The group says the upward adjustment has been necessitated by the economic hardship that drivers face in the country due to the increase in prices of fuel. The Public Relations Officer of the association, Mr. David Agbado, earlier complained to GBC News the reasons for their proposal.
We were in agreement with government. We sat down with government to talk about what will help us to maintain our prices where it was. But yes, still nothing, or it haven't availed. We talked to government. Chief of Staff came in. We sat down. We talked with Giorgio. But as I'm talking to you now, there is nothing good come out from that. 40% of our increment has come off from the things that we are using for our product, the product that we are using for our business, like the fuel, the lubricant, the cost of a car, and then the spare parts that we are buying. That warrant us to, come out with this statement that on Monday, 17th January 2022, we'll increase our fare by 40%. For our sister operators like GPRO and other things, we call them, but we all doesn't come to one compromisation that we should go this direction. We are still in talking terms. We have 7 days to go from today. We will come out with a final verdict on it. Either it will still remain in the 40%, or either we'll increase it to 50%, or we'll come back by 30%. As I'm talking to you now, the taxes alone that have been slashed on the commodities that we say they should strike off, like price stabilization and recovery levy, energy sector levy, all have been increased. Some have been increased upwards like 333%. Some are 95%. Some are 45%. All these are government charges that went up like that, and it is in the budget that government have brought to us. If it's accepted, it will all come to us, we, the transport community. That's why we say the 40% is good and can sustain us in the business.
The Criminal Court 1 Division of the Accra High Court sitting on the case in which a former Cocoa Board boss, Dr. Stephen Opuni, and Mr. Seidu Agongo are being tried for allegedly willfully causing financial loss to the state on Monday morning, were forced to adjourn sitting due to some technical hitches. The trial judge, a justice of the Supreme Court, Justice Clemens Hunyanuga, who has an additional responsibility as a High Court judge, informed the court that sitting could not proceed because there was a problem with the technical system on the entire first floor of the court, and that the system failure had affected all cases of the day that were either stood down or adjourned. The former Cocoa Board boss case has been adjourned to January 17, 2022. Meanwhile, lawyers of the accused persons have indicated to the court that they have filed respective motions for consideration. The motion filed by the second and third accused persons have been fixed for January 21, 2022. Mr. Samuel Kujo, counsel for Dr. Opuni, also told the court they have a motion to invoke the supervisory jurisdiction of the Supreme Court for certiorari and prohibition, and that application has been fixed for February 8, 2022.
Still at the courts, the Financial and Economic Court Division of the Accra High Court has adjourned to January 25, 2022, a case involving a former chief executive of the Microfinance and Small Loans Center, Maslock, Mrs. Sedina Christian Tamaklo Ationu, and Mr. Daniel Axim, former operations manager of Maslock. The two are being tried for willfully causing financial loss to the state over 78 charges. This is News Live on GBC News, your news and governance channel. We take a break and come back. We do some business. Please stay.
Hello, this is Business brought to you by MTN and Whirlpool. My name is Esther Eidu Humeu. The Association of Ghana Industries has urged the government to remain focused in its industrial transformation agenda and not waver in its design to implement the reversal of the benchmark discount policy.
While a number of countries offer export rebates to their firms to develop export trade, Ghana's benchmark discount policy offers universal import rebate that only promotes importation, and this policy distorts our macro economic fundamentals. Industrialization is so central to Ghana's economic liberation that we cannot afford to sacrifice our industrial initiatives for short-term gains that serve the interest of a few finished product importers into our country. This policy is very regressive to the manufacturing space, and we will be most unfortunate if maintained in its current form. We wish to emphasize that it is the sustainable jobs that will give economic empowerment and generate domestic revenue. The exigencies of local manufacturing became more prominent with the outbreak of the COVID-19 pandemic.
The management of cocoa board is urging persons using children as laborers on their cocoa farms to desist from the practice because it affects the premium price Ghana's cocoa commands on the international market.
Ghana Cocoa Board is very much interested in sustainability. Cocoa Board has adopted a policy of zero tolerance of child labor as an important component of cocoa sustainability. Cocoa Board takes very seriously any report which portrays a child of school-going age as having engaged in activities on a cocoa farm that will be construed as child labor. We and the government have taken a strong stance against child labor of any kind and condemn any act which undermines effort aimed at ensuring sustainability in the cocoa industry. Ordinarily, one will not see farmers openly engaged in such practices when one visits our cocoa communities, and that is the testament of the fact that our sensitization efforts and interventions are yielding some results. There's a monitoring mechanism that we are able to use in checking whether or not some kits are in the farms. Our extension agents, they have direct interface with the farmers. They go to the farms, they engage the farmers. When children are there, they meet these farmers, and then they report back that these farmers are using children in the cocoa farms, which we deal with it. We shall, similarly, alert the police on any other case related to child labor which comes to our attention for the persons involved to be apprehended and prosecuted.
The African Export and Import Bank has identified sectors such as industry, energy, mining and agriculture as drivers of an increase of 30% under intra-African trade under the implementation of the African Continental Free Trade Agreement.
In the agriculture sector, subsectors to benefit most from the 30% intra-African trade increase are milk and dairy products, processed food, cereals, crops and sugar. In industry, the sectors with the most potential are wood and paper products, chemical, rubber, plastic and pharmaceutical products, vehicles and transport equipment, metals and other manufactured products. In energy and mining, there is scope for refined oil exports. According to a survey conducted by Afreximbank, in terms of services trade, intra-African trade would increase by over 50% for financial, business and communication services, by around 50% for tourism and transport, and by just over a third for health and education. Nonetheless, the opportunities for trade in both education and health services should not be ignored. This has become imperative following the COVID-19 pandemic, which has further exposed the need for Africa to strengthen its own production and trade capacities in health and education. According to the World Bank, the AFCFTA would significantly boost African trade, particularly intra-regional trade in manufacturing. The volume of total exports would increase by almost 29% by 2035. Intracontinental exports would also increase by over 81%, while exports to non-African countries would rise by 19%. Exports to AFCFTA partners would rise speedily, especially for Cameroon, Egypt, Morocco, Tunisia and Ghana, with exports doubling. Of the real sectors of the economy, the manufacturing sector is expected to gain the most with 62% increment in production activities, followed with modest gains in the services sector and smaller gains in agriculture. The AFCFTA agreement will create the largest free trade area in the world, measured by the number of countries participating. The pact connects 1.3 billion people across 55 countries with a combined GDP valued at $3.4 trillion.
Let's have the interbank and commodity figures. Whirlpool, thanks for watching.
It is Hello and welcome to the Energy News segment. My name is Mabel Anang. The Ghana Atomic Energy Commission has downplayed any possible effects of Germany's 3 nuclear power shutdowns on Ghana's plan to develop a nuclear power plant. The Commission has rather charged the country to focus on how to capitalize on nuclear to decarbonize the system and realize the country's industrialization agenda.
Germany on Friday shut down 3 of its 6 nuclear plants in operation a year before the country draws the final curtain on its decades-long use of atomic energy. The decision to phase out nuclear power and shift from fossil fuel to renewable energy was first taken by the center-left government of Gerhard Schroeder in 2002. The 3 reactors now being decommissioned were first powered in the mid-1980s. Together, they provided electricity to millions of German households for almost 4 decades. Speaking to GBC News, the director of the Nuclear Power Institute at the Ghana Atomic Energy Commission, Dr. Seth Debra, said the development in Germany will not derail Ghana's nuclear power plant agenda. He said the move will not affect foreign direct investment in Ghana's nuclear power plant.
We knew that Germany is going to shut down their plants, but they are still going to rely on the grid of the European grid to actually get power or export power. So this is nothing new to us. It doesn't affect us in any way, I repeat. As a country, Ghana is a sovereign country that has decided to go nuclear, and this doesn't affect us. There are industries within Germany that will even want to play in the nuclear field in terms of our power program, and they are always welcome to actually do that. Once they exhibit the needed expertise, once they exhibit the needed requirements, why not? They can play in that space, and that doesn't stop us from pushing our industrialization agenda.
Ghana has made steady progress towards its nuclear energy generation as it has begun inviting proposals from potential vendor partners or countries interested in building the country's first nuclear power plant.
Libya's crude oil production rose to 900,000 barrels per day from 700,000 after the completion of repair work on an oil pipeline. Before the outages, the pipeline shut down. Libya was producing between 1.25 and 1.3 million barrels per day. The country's oil infrastructure has for years been a victim of illegal closures and financial problems that are yet to be solved. The pipeline under repair links two oil fields to the EA's Cider export terminal. Its shutdown for repairs took 200,000 barrels per day offline, which coincided with field outages caused by blockades that shaved off more barrels from Libya's total. Before the cuts in the pipeline shutdown, Libya was producing between 1.25 and 1.3 million barrels per day. But the latest event brought this down to less than 800,000 barrels per day temporarily. More cuts are not out of the question. However, Libya's oil infrastructure has suffered years of neglect, and the field shutdown for the pipeline repairs is unlikely to be the last one. The chairman of the National Oil Corporation said earlier this month that the country's oil infrastructure has been a casualty of years of illegal closures and financial problems that are yet to be solved. In addition to more repairs likely to affect production, the dispute between the government and the Petroleum Facilities Guard is still not settled, suggesting that the production cuts may continue. And that's how we wrap up for the Energy News. My name is Mabel Anang.
Welcome to the health segment brought to you by Lufat by Tobinco. A resident of Anyakpo, a farming community in the Ada East district of the Greater Accra region, Madam Vida Yitiakpo, is appealing for support to enable her 15-year-old son, Ruben Kunyabo, undergo treatment for spinal injury. According to her, her son suffered the spinal injury after he accidentally fell from a coconut tree, and that has rendered him immobile in his limbs. News that her son's situation has drained all her financial resources.
Ruben Kunyabo is a Class 4 pupil who has been out of school for over 5 months. Recounting the story, The distraught mother, Vida Yetiekpo, said the son accidentally fell from a coconut tree and hit his waist against a borasos palm tree. He developed a spinal injury as a result.
Yabi Ruben Kunyambo, Enga Skuyanga, Iskeuno, Malalata School, Enga P4. Venenya by Sevafa Bahiale Ibaji, Coloneba Janet Newaloko, a pass school. He has
been bedridden since then. He can barely do anything without assistance.
I
can't move my limbs. Please help me to get better.
They discontinued treatment at the Kolebu Teaching Hospital because of lack of funds. Madame Vida Yetiekpo, who raised ducks for sale, said she has sold all her ducks because of the financial burden and now lives at the mercy of the public. She is reaching out to donors to raise funds to resume treatment.
I
already lost 2 of my 6 children and wouldn't want to lose another. I don't have any sources of funding than to appeal for help.
Kenya bahio kikola ba la ba na yesi fofo na nokomake mi 2 cedi alo 1 cedi emi wahami inne noko inge walo la na ata noko he alo ma une ta noko tui ne eba wa mi ne yebi Ruben Kunyabo ne etesi mi ne ma obi mi ole inge pe pa Ghana makla awami yebi Ruben Kunyabo ne etesi mi.
Ruben Kunyabo further appealed to churches and individuals for support to enable him to get back on his feet and resume schooling. Donations can be sent to mobile money number 0240 526 019 with account name Vida Yetiekpo.
That's all for the health segment, brought to you by Lufat.
Driver, Tiaso Kakramaye.
Hey, Mommy, I have on some new Jumewa.
Oh, yes. Great job. Great rewards.
Do you know about 6 people lose their lives daily in road accidents and a lot of them are passengers?
It is not my portion. Those people, their prayers are not strong.
What would you do now if there is a road crash?
I would just grab the seat and shout, Jesus!
Do you feel good about yourself?
Papa. Wow, she said the Papa driver. Tiaso.
Mommy, are you sure you're not the devil?
Make you not do Abonsamejuma. Stay alive. This Stay Alive campaign is brought to you by the National Road Safety Authority.